I'd like you all to take a minute and examine the contents of your bedroom. All of the things that you've amassed over time. The drawers that haven't been sorted, the dust under the bed, and if you're like most people, myself included, there are probably some things that you would not want people going through. Some embarrassing items, but hopefully nothing too risque. Now take a moment and imagine every single thing that you've ever done online. Every text, Facebook entry, every photograph, chat room, things that you wish you never said, the times you came home drunk and fired off a few texts, everything ever. No password protection, no delete button, full access. Nowadays, that's a lot of information. If you ask most people which facet of their life they would rather have exposed, the contents of their bedroom or the sum total of everything they ever did online, most would choose the bedroom. But hey, this is America, and we have laws to protect our privacy, right? People can't go snooping around my bedroom, and they can't go looking through my computer, at least without a warrant, some probable cause, or something. We have something called the Fourth Amendment that prevents unreasonable search and seizures, and we have privacy laws, don't we? You'll be relieved to know that when it comes to your bedroom, provided no one has uttered the word terrorist in conjunction with your name, your rights are, for the most part, intact. When it comes to anything online, however, that's another story. Over the years, the courts, in their infinite wisdom, have carved out a series of rulings on the little thing we like to call the third-party doctrine. Here's how it works. If two people, say a married couple, are having what they assume is a private conversation, they have an expectation of privacy. If the same couple has that conversation in line at, say, Wegmans, in front of a checkout person, the third party invalidates their right to privacy. It seems logical enough, doesn't it? Now, what if I told you that these same wise courts consider the presence of an internet service provider, i.e. Time Warner, to be a third party in this equation? So basically, unless you build your own infrastructure to work from, all online communication is done without constitutional protection. To make matters worse, service providers like Time Warner keep these things called IP logs. For those who don't know, everywhere you go online generates an Internet Protocol address. These IP addresses can be used to track every place you've gone and every page you've ever been online. Current court rulings do not recognize these addresses as personal information. How much personal information do you think could be gleaned from every place you've been online and everything you've ever done online? Now, before you freak out too much, it's only fair to point out the one positive step the courts have made. Just a few years ago, in 2010 to be exact, U.S. versus Warsaw, email gained Fourth Amendment protection. Now, is it just me, or should that have happened sooner than 3 years ago? Let's forget for a moment that you have a zero expectation of privacy when you're speaking online. Most of what you're doing and saying is inane chatter anyway. Well, speaking for myself, that is. What about the people that actually have something important to say? Maybe even something controversial. Wasn't this country built on the right to challenge our government? Any of you kids remember free speech? Now, I'm not talking about the big cases. Think about this as being an incremental erosion. And that's exactly what it is, an erosion. Every time the tide comes in, it takes a little more of that beautiful beachfront with it. It's the same thing with free speech. One time, one person is careful about what they say for fear of censure or liability. One idea doesn't get out there, and it isn't there for the next person to build on, and so the slope grows more extreme until footing is all but lost. For years, people were envious of the freedoms that Americans enjoyed. This made us the envy of the world, but made us enemies as well. If we sit back and voluntarily hand over our rights, then what's left to protect? We'll just be another country with a government breathing down our necks. Is it worth protecting a free society if we have to remove those freedoms to do so? Here's a suggestion, albeit a pedestrian one. What if we find a way to make the people hiding behind the Patriot Act and NSA security be accountable for the information they choose to store? let them continue to use their monitoring systems, but attach a burden that there must be a discernible bit of actual terrorist activity going on. That way, law enforcement wouldn't be able to run the newest anti-terrorist act to sidestep due process. I'm not sure what the solution to the problem is, but I am sure of one thing: there is a problem. If we continue to let them chip away at our civil liberties, things will only get worse. If we're not careful, we might wake up in a very different country than we went to sleep in. If we're not careful, we might find that one day we no longer have the right to ask, what happened to our rights? In the words of Benjamin Franklin, those who would sacrifice freedom for security deserve neither.